Coming up next, it's The Popeye Show, followed by Boomerang on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's more of The Popeye Show, followed by Boomerang on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Boomerang, followed by The Flintstones on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's the Flintstones, followed by Scooby-Doo on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Scooby-Doo on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Max Steel on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's the Bugs and Daffy Show on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Mike, Lou, and Oz, followed by Alvin and the Chipmunks on Cartoon Network. Next up, it's Tom and Jerry Kids, followed by the Flintstones on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's the Smurfs on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's a pup named Scooby-Doo, followed by Scooby and Scrappy on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Scooby and Scrappy, followed by Bugs and Daffy on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's the Bugs and Daffy Show on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Tom and Jerry on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Followed by Johnny Bravo on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Johnny Bravo, followed by Ed, Edd and Eddy on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Ed, Edd and Eddy, followed by Dexter's Laboratory on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Dexter's Laboratory, followed by Toonami on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Toonami on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Johnny Bravo on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's Dexter's Laboratory, followed by the Powerpuff Girls on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's the Powerpuff Girls on Cartoon Network.
Up next, it's Justice League.
Coming up next, it's Courage the Cowardly Dog, followed by Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? On Cartoon Network. Up next, it's Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Followed by the Bugs and Daffy Show on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Bugs and Daffy, followed by Tom and Jerry on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Tom and Jerry, followed by Toonami Midnight Run on Cartoon Network.